do right for our community? Okay, I'll get into that specific question. As far as background on me, so I don't currently work for either, but I've worked for Wells Fargo and Bank of America. So I'll share my experiences as far as like what I've seen from behind the scenes. What up, YouTube? I will be going live with you guys in about 2 minutes. So if you're watching this on record, just fast forward to like the 2-minute mark. I'll hopefully be able to address a lot of questions you all may have based on, like I said, my experiences here. Oh man, let me drop this in the chat room. So I'll be going live in like 1 minute, 1 minute for you all. Link for tonight's live. All right, going live in like 1 minute. You guys can stick with me. All right, so I got that in there. Posted a little bit late in the community. My bad, you all. Events. All right, how do I edit this event? Edit this event. So I'll be going live with you guys. Hey, what's going on? I'll be talking to you guys in about, give me 1 minute. Literally give me 1 minute and I'll be ready to go live on YouTube. YouTube is probably better. Like I said, this thing always crashes after about the after like the 10-minute mark, it's crashes and starts to freeze. So there we go there. Oh man, it's 7 o'clock. Okay, cool. 7 o'clock. So I'm about to start the live there. All right, so you guys can catch me on YouTube. You can catch me on Instagram. Let me make sure I'm recording this. I didn't record it last time. Smooth move by me. Recording this. All right. So we got that there. We got that there. Okay, cool. All right, so let's jump into it. Trying to get these live recordings down. It's harder than I thought. All right, so I got my speaker, got my microphone. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. Bank of America conspiracy theories. Bank of America. Oh man, well, I guess it's gonna go anyways. My background is a little bit off. All right, cool. So we got, okay, there we go. All right, so I want to start this off with a quote that I've heard someone say. I'm not sure who to credit the quote to, but it's, poor people think everything is a scam. And so when I say poor people, it doesn't mean poor financially. I mean just poor mindset, right? And so a lot of people are held back by their own beliefs that everything is a scam. And it's healthy to have it's good to have a healthy skepticism, right? To be skeptical of stuff's going on. But a lot of people just stop with the skepticism, right? It's just like, hey, I think this is a scam. I think this program is bad. And then they stop all their research at that point. And then other people actually act on the information. And so that's why I want to get to this topic as far as addressing these conspiracies that I've seen online the last week. And so welcome to House Rich, the first time Homebuyer show where we help millennials figure out where to get started in real estate and how to build generational wealth. Today's topic is part 2 of the Bank of America Minority Loan Program breakdown. So I'm going to address some of the conspiracy theories I've seen from the last week as far as when the program got launched. So first, I want to bring you a little bit more information. So I have a friend of mine who actually sat down and talked with a Bank of America community lender, basically. So here's some new information that's actually not publicly available online. You actually got to go talk to someone at Bank of America to get this information. So shout out to Jay Rashad, the home ownership ambassador out here in Dallas, Texas. So a couple key points is, one, the max debt to income ratio for the program is 50%. There is a 132,000 household income limit. These loans are manually underwritten, which means that they don't go through an automated underwriting system, which means that an underwriter examines kind of all aspects of the loan. And so this can be used for a multi-unit property. So it can be used for a 2 to 4 unit property and your max loan to value ratio is 95%, meaning that you have to put down 5% has to be put down. Bank of America actually gives you a grant which can cover up to 3% of the purchase price, right? So you might have to come out of pocket with 2% of the purchase price. One is it's for first-time home buyers. I don't think that was any secret. Two, and so one aspect of the program is that there's home buyer education. So all the folks saying that, hey, they're just trying to throw people to the wolves. You actually, so there's two versions of home buyer education if you're familiar with this. So there's one version where you can just take like an online course, and usually that takes you like 45 minutes or something like that. Then there's another version we actually have to go in person. There's like an 8-hour HUD approved home buyer education program. For this program, you have to do the 8-hour in-person presentation in order to even get through the program. So you got to actually got to go through 8 hours of educational training to educate yourself on the program. All right, and so what else we got? So as far as like credit, I think one of the big things for the program has been put out that there's no credit requirements or no minimum credit score. That's right, but you do need like 3 trade lines at least to be involved in the program. So what is a trade line, right? So a trade line is just like it's just one of those things on your credit report, for lack of a better example. So like we have a credit card, you'll notice that in your credit report, there'll be like your balance, your payment history. Like that is a trade line. It's basically like your credit history for the item. So like a credit card, like a car payment, will have a trade line, like an installment loan, we'll have a trade line, etc. So I see folks talking on IG. I'll get to all that once I get to my spiel. So you guys are gonna have to stick around, unfortunately. And so hopefully your comments don't get lost. If you want to comment on YouTube, that'll be easier for your comments not to get lost, because YouTube is a lot easier to find the comments on YouTube. So and so one restriction as well is you cannot have more than you can have no lates in the last 6 months for any of those trade lines. So once again, addressing the part where folks are saying that, hey, I guess they're letting irresponsibly financial people access these loan programs. So you cannot have any lates on your credit report in the last 6 months. So once again, they're not looking at your credit score, they're looking at your history of being financially responsible. So once again, no lates in the last 6 months. And so over the last 12 months, you cannot have any 30-day lates. So basically in the last year, you can only have one 30-day late, but it cannot be within the last 6 months, which is very important, because that shows they're basically looking and saying, hey, this person has been, something may have happened in the past 2 to 3 years ago, but we're looking to see that, hey, this person's been financially responsible the last year, so we're ready to move forward with them based on that. All right, and so you need to have any money like in your pocket when you purchase these homes. So a lot of times with certain programs, you have to have what's called reserves. And so a reserve basically is a monthly payment. And so, for example, let's say your mortgage payment is going to be $2,000. When someone's like, hey, you need to have like 3 months of reserves in order to close in the home, which means you need to have $6,000 in your bank account after all the money given towards the down payment. So once again, it's just $6,000 in your bank account, not anything you have to spend towards the loan. But in this scenario, you do not need to have so as long as you have a 12-month rental history, so like you can prove you paid rent for the last 12 months, this program does not require any reserves, because they're saying that, hey, this person can pay their rent, I'm pretty sure they can pay their mortgage too. And so I'm pretty sure it's a scenario like if your rent's $2,000, they're like, hey, it's as long as your debt to income ratio is under that, they're like, okay, they pay $2,000 of rent. It makes a lot of sense that this person can pay $2,000 as far as their mortgage. However, if you have no rental history, so let's say like you stay with your parents or you stay with your friends or something like that, so you have to have 3 months of reserve. So once again, going back to the previous example, you have to have like $6,000 set aside in order to be eligible for the program. Once again, reserves don't go toward, you don't have to give reserves to the lender, but you have to have them like on the sideline as far as that. And once again, it kind of mirrors, this is probably transparent to all you guys because you don't read mortgage guidelines, but it mirrors like conventional loan guidelines. So you can check out, I guess, actually I don't have a single video on my page about a conventional loan. Maybe I should do one of those. And then this was the last point I saw in the video. I wasn't able to get in touch with him before this video to get clarification on this, but he had mentioned a 550 FICO score. I'm not sure exactly what that meant because they said there's no minimum credit score. So I'll get some clarity on the 550 FICO score, but that means something as far as the as far as the loan. Okay. And so once again, those are some new guidelines that I found out within the last week that I wanted to bring to you guys as well. Because I like to bring you guys facts. I don't engage in hyperbole or a lot of stuff that you see online. So if you got some value on that, feel free to throw me a like down on the YouTube. That helps the video get out to folks. I'd appreciate that. If you don't, whatever, but that'd be cool if you could hit that up. And so let's talk about some of the conspiracies that I've seen as far as the program. So conspiracy like number one is like, hey, why would Bank of America launch this program in the middle of the pandemic? Home prices dropping, blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of understand that from like people that aren't in the industry and are like, I call them civilians. It's like, you aren't in the mortgage industry, you are a realtor. So you may, because you may be thinking like, why are they doing that? And so my response is they're not doing that. Like that's just a blatant lie being put out by people in the mortgage industry. Because this program has been around for at least like 3 years. I know I heard about the program first, like pre-pandemic. So, and like now I'm an underwriter. This is like way back when I was like a lender, right? And so the only reason they would not know about the program is one, they're just lying to you in order to like spread controversy and I don't know, get likes or whatever like that. Or they just don't know what they're talking about, or they do no business. So they never had a buyer bring them like a Bank of America loan that with the $17,500 they give towards the customer, right? So that's why I want to address that first part. Bank of America has had this loan program for at least a similar program for at least 3 years. And so once again, it's capped at 17,000. What that program still exists. It's capped at $17,500, right? But I mean, that's like enough to cover a down payment in most markets. Will get you to like a $300,000 home or close to that in most markets. So essentially like 100% down. They've had that for 3+ years. So that's the first thing. Okay, let's talk about, is this program designed to speed up gentrification? Oh, appreciate the like there. Big shout out to you. I wish I could see those like in the video. But is this program designed to speed up gentrification? So I can guarantee you with 100% certainty that gentrification will increase if folks don't use the program and they listen to bozos who don't know what they talk about when it comes to mortgage guidelines, who only put out stuff for shock value and likes and shares, and are discouraging minorities in the community from using the program. So yes, if minorities don't use the program, there's 100% chance that that will lead to increased gentrification, because once again, the program is not designed or is not targeted at 100% minorities. Bank of America has never said that. No article that I've ever seen has said that as well. So I'm not sure where people are running with this idea that somehow Bank of America is trying to pull the okey doke on the community. Like that's not true. It's just a 100% falsehood, right? And so, and let's talk about why. So you may be asking like, so why don't they have a program that's targeted directly for minorities in these areas that were impacted by redlining? And so once again, this program is part of Bank of America's CRA, or Community Reinvestment. It's part of the Community Reinvestment Act, which is a decree or act made by Congress, which makes banks give back to certain communities. So once again, no bank, Chase, Bank of America, or any lender you're seeing is doing this out of the kindness of the heart. They're being actually forced to do it by law, just kind of FYI. So once again, why is this program not, why can't they say, hey, we just want to give this program to just minorities, like I guess Latin people and Blacks. Those are the only minorities, right? So let's talk about why they cannot do that. Because how in the world would they manage a program where it's just exactly for minorities? Like on one hand, folks are like, I don't trust Bank of America to run this program, but on the other hand, they're like, hey, figure out who is and isn't a minority. Like it makes no sense to me. And so, like, how in the world do they determine who's a minority, right? Like, do they do like the Peter Griffin test where they put up like different shades up against your hand and figure out like who's a minority? So like, do they do like a wave check, or like how hard is it to comb through your hair? Like, or you may be saying like, hey, I've seen this. Hey, you can just look at people's IDs. And so my response to that is, when you got your driver's license, how is it determined what race was on your license? Did anybody do any qualification, or did you just check a box on your license, right? You just checked the box and said, I'm whatever race I'm at on your license. Nobody verified that. So the whole license thing doesn't make a lot of sense as well. And then three, this is a comment I can tell this from people that aren't in the mortgage industry. It's because a lot of lenders don't even require a license or identification in order to go through the home buying process, for the exact reason that they don't want to be deemed as discriminating against folks. So I worked at Chase for 4 years. I think they're like they're probably the third biggest lender like in America right now. I think Chase is like number 3 as far as home lending. And Chase does not have a requirement for an ID when you're going through the loan process, because they don't want an ID in the file so people can say, hey, I was denied this loan because the underwriter looked at my picture and saw that I was a Black person or an Asian person or a white person or a minion or whatever you want to be. And so most banks don't even require an ID in order to apply for the loan program in the first place, right? So there you go, right there. And then so naturally, so how do we determine what race is what race, right? So the only way to do this would be to do like DNA tests and blood tests and all this stuff, which obviously no bank or lender is going to do that. No one would allow a lender to do that, right? So that's why it makes no sense that this program could even be targeted explicitly for minorities in general, because there's no way to even manage a program like that in the first place. So hopefully that dispelled that that rumor as far as that, right? And so let's jump into not the last part, but let's jump into the part where folks somehow think there's this mass conspiracy for Bank of America to make minorities buy homes so they can foreclose them and take them back and all that. So if Bank of America wanted to buy a bunch of homes, they just buy a bunch of homes. Like they would just do that. They don't need to go through this whole rigmarole and this whole process of like trying to have certain people get homes and then wait like a year for it to foreclose and then hold the property for like a year and then like have the taxes and then go through the whole like that just makes like no sense. Like a lot of these things people are saying, if you think about it, if you just like flush out the whole process, just think about it, like how would this actually work? Like they don't really make any sense, right? And so let's talk about how these banks make money on a loan. So if you've had a loan before, you're going through the loan process, you'll notice like on your loan estimate or your closing cost worksheet, you'll notice what's called you'll notice fees. So if you're looking at a loan estimate, it's like column A essentially. And I'm blanking, but it's column A on the loan estimate. And you'll see like origination fees. Depending on how bogus your lender is, you may see like miscellaneous stuff. Like I've seen all sorts of wild fees that lenders will put on that column A of your loan estimate. But essentially, those are the fees that your bank is charging you upfront for a loan. So that's one how your lender makes money. They make money from the fees on the loan, right? So then you close on the loan, right? And so what happens after the loan? Like you have interest on your loan, right? And so like banks make money off of, so like big banks like your Chases, your Wells Fargo, Bank of America, a lot of those lenders will actually service the loans. Like they'll keep the loans in-house. And so they make money off the servicing. But what other lenders do, what smaller lenders do, or if you're like you work with a broker, they don't have the money to actually fund these loans. And so brokers don't fund them and all. The bigger lender funds are from the brokers, but like smaller lenders, like just think whatever your local lender is. There were people like, oh, I always go local. Whoever your local lender is, like they don't often have the money to fund these loans. Because what happens is when there's like a $300,000 home, like you're putting down 3% of the purchase price, right? And the bank is bringing the other 97% at the table. So the seller gets paid all that money at closing, right? And so they have to come out of pocket the whole $300,000 and they get it back over the course of 30 years plus interest. And so most of these small banks do not have money to even do this. So what they do is they package up your loans, they package up like 1,000 loans, right? And then they'll sell them off to an investor. It's called like mortgage-backed securities. Then the investor buys the loans and they collect the interest, yada, yada, yada. And so those loans only work, or they're only able to sell those loans if the people that are getting the loans are paying them back. Like if they're selling these mortgage-backed securities to investors and people are defaulting on all the loans, the investors will not buy the loans, right? And so it makes no sense that Bank of America's like master plan would be to get all these loans that they think people are going to default on so they can no longer sell them to investors, right? And so like even more, like if you have a loan, just think about if you've ever had a mortgage, or let's say, well, I guess mortgage is a better example, but I'll give the example. So I have three mortgages right now, right? And so in the last 10 years, so I thought about this. I think I've called my lender like 4 times, honestly, in the last 10 years between like 3 mortgages. As far as like the servicing. So servicing is another way that your lender makes money off of the loan. Like they collect a small fee as far as servicing. So as far as me being a home buyer, I'm pretty much a hands-free lender or hands-free customer when it comes to the servicing process. And that's the vast majority of customers. Like they never contact the bank. They just pay these loans online. So your lender or the bank, they just want to be left alone. Like they don't want to have to deal with a bunch of drama. So this concept that the bank wants to foreclose on the property with this master plan, once again, that doesn't really make any sense as far as that. So those were kind of the major points I wanted to touch on as far as this live. Let me run back through and hop on to some of these questions you all have real quick. Let me drink a sip of water. Cool. Appreciate y'all on YouTube dropping the likes. That gives me a morale boost. I'm not going to lie, because I'd be like, am I talking to nobody? Are people feeling what I'm saying? All right. So hopefully Ryan's still there. So what's the difference between this loan program and NACA? And so there look to be a lot of similarities, honestly, between the two loan programs. But one big thing is like NACA is not like a loan program per se. Like NACA is actually like a counseling agency. And so what they do is they counsel people on the home buying process and make sure that they're ready to actually go purchase. They make sure they're actually ready to go purchase a home. And then, so I've not been through the NACA program, so I'm not 100% versed on this. This is like high level talk. But what happens then after you go to the NACA program, the loans actually go to Bank of America. It's a Bank of America then underwrites the loans, and then they actually fund the loans. So Bank of America does have a lot of experience with these 0% down mortgages, because they underwrite like the NACA loans and actually fund them. So once again, this is not like a new thing as far as Bank of America and 0% downs, because they've been doing the NACA program for I don't know when they started, but it's longer than 2 months ago. Once again, where these people think that somehow Bank of America started this 2 months ago. And so the biggest difference, it seems like they're just cutting NACA out of the program as far as I can tell, and kind of doing things themselves. And so once again, this actual program right now is restricted to 5 cities. I want to say Detroit, Dallas, Charlotte, Miami, Los Angeles are the 5 cities that's actually restricted to right now. And so another big difference is NACA is nationwide in certain areas, but and this program is just for these 5 cities. All right. So let's see. If you had a question on IG, you can drop it again. I don't know how to get back to all these questions. I don't know what you guys were asking. So let's see. I know somebody had a question. Can we trust the big banks? So my thing is, who cares who the lender is? You should be able to trust yourself to educate yourself on the home buying process, right? So I think here's another thing. There's this misconception or notion that somehow there's going to be fine print in these loans. Like fine print is not a thing when it comes to loans. Like every loan is just standard terminology. The terminology is small, but the print, there's no clause that Bank of America or any lender is sneaking into these loan documents, right? And so fine print is not a thing. So I purchased a home most recently like five years ago. So I've not I purchased a home like 5 years ago, and so I've seen mortgage docs since, obviously being in the industry. But I know, like, if I were to go purchase a home tomorrow, I would read my loan estimate to make sure I understand that. But honestly, I would not even read a single page of the other documents, just because they're just standard loan documents. Like lenders can't throw like miscellaneous clauses in there to try to okey doke, like, hey, if you do this, we're going to take back your home in 3 years or something like that. That's not a thing. So as far as the banks, I would say no, trust yourself to do your education. Big shout out to you. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you're getting a little bit of education. I'd say a little bit because and I can't know everything, but I'd say go to as many sources as possible. Once again, I don't work for Bank of America, and I'm getting this stuff third hand from a friend of mine who actually talked to a rep at Bank of America, right? And so there you go. I don't know, Q trust big banks. I would say I think folks trust me. Like I said, I worked at Wells Fargo. I worked at Chase. I'm not a villain, or maybe I am. I don't know. Maybe I am a bad guy. Depends who you talk to. When you start out with negative equity in the home, the financing instantly more than your house is worth. So no. So once this is another misconception, which is that you will start off with negative equity in the home. So I addressed this in the previous video, but so the Bank of America gives you a grant that is between $10,000 and $15,000, depending on your market, or up to 3% of the purchase price. So it's 0% down, and they give you a grant to so you start off with equity. So you don't start off with any or you start off with equity in the home. So it's just similar to a conventional loan. Like if you get a conventional loan and you put down 3%, like you're at 90% loan to value, just like you would be with this program. And so once again, there's a comment about can you refinance when you're underwater. Once again, with any loan, you shouldn't be refinancing the loan like in the first year. Like that'd be weird to refinance the loan like within the first year. So that applies to literally any loan. That applies to a VA loan, 0% down, a USD loan, 0% down. That applies to a conventional loan where you're putting down 3%. It applies to an FHA loan where you're putting down 3.5%. So once again, this whole thing that you can't refinance right away is not exclusive to this program. Like you probably aren't going to be in a position to refinance like within the first couple months, no matter what loan program it is. All right. You're welcome. Is there a minimum requirement for a first-time home buyer to reside in that home? So that is a piece that I have not seen as far as is there a minimum requirement in order to stay in the home. So if I were to recklessly speculate, once again, Bank of America, they underwrite the NACA loans. So with the NACA loans, actually, I'm not going to recklessly speculate. So I don't know the answer. So I'll leave it at that. Is the BOA loan program only in urban areas in those cities? So they're in predominantly like minority communities. I guess you want to say that's urban. And so I guess yes to answer your question, if you're using urban and minority communities synonymously. But so here's the thing. My advice is just call someone at Bank of America. Like just call your local Bank of America branch and say, hey, I'm interested in the program. I'm curious what communities that this program is available in, and they'll be able to tell you. So like I said, I know when I worked at Chase, we had a similar program, or they still have a similar program. It was like $5,000 down, right? And so we had a map where it was like, hey, the grant is available in these communities. So I could, if you called me, I would tell you what communities. I mean, I would try to get a little more information out of you so you would do along with me, because I don't give people information on the phone so that they can run off. But yeah, just call them and ask. Is my advice there. Can someone who's been without a full-time job for 3 months but has a Social Security income as their income qualify for the loan? So when it comes, so kind of two questions. And so if you don't have a full-time job, you don't have income, so you can't qualify, unfortunately, for any traditional loan program. They want to see income. And just think about that. Like if you were borrowing money from somebody and they didn't have any means to pay you back via job, like, or like, would you let anyone borrow money? Like the answer would probably be no. And so it's the same thing with the bank. So as far as the Social Security income, as long as it will continue in perpetuity, you're fine as far as that income. Like if it's like, hey, this Social Security income is only available for whatever reason, like it ends in like 6 months or 8 months, is like disability or something like that, that does not work. But as long as the income will continue in perpetuity, the Bank of America or any lender will allow you to use that income. Okay, so hopefully that helped. Big shout out to you guys with the likes. Drop those likes in the video if you get some good content out of this. It boosts my morale, if anything. And so does the income limit change based on location? So yeah, so in higher cost of living areas, I believe there's a higher income limit. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my reckless speculation. But I'm 90% sure that it changes based on the location. If you guys got any more questions, let me know on the YouTube. Does it talk about payment shock? So if you guys don't know what like payment shock is, so it's like, hey, if somebody's has like a $1,000 a month they're paying for rent, and all of a sudden their mortgage is like $2,000. Like it's still maybe within like the debt to income ratio guidelines, but that's a whole different thing. It's like payment shock. It's like, hey, can this person now pay this payment that is twice as much? So I've not seen anything as far as payment shock being a requirement for, or there being any payment shock stipulations as far as this program. And so let's see, what other questions we may have from y'all. Oh, I'm good. Okay, cool. Any other questions? All right. If y'all got any questions, drop them in the chat or drop them in the YouTube. So if you guys got, okay, oh good, from Charlotte, North Carolina, the home of Bank of America. So definitely y'all can use that program out in Charlotte there. What's going on? I see the wave there. What's up? Is there a zero program that's not VA or first-time home buyer program? Yes, there is a 0% down program. It is called the USDA program. And so the USDA is the USDA you're thinking of, like with the farmers and all that. And so the program is targeted at rural, I have trouble saying that word, you know what I'm trying to say, rural communities, right? And so which means that they're rural communities. And so a lot of times folks hear rural communities and then maybe think, yeah, that's why there's a, oh, I didn't, yeah, so join me on YouTube. Yeah, join me on YouTube, my thing. I forgot to put in my post. Yeah, join me on YouTube. It lags, that's why I'm doing it on both formats there, sorry. God, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, so there's a USDA loan. So basically just go to Google and type in like USDA zones, and you'll be able to see what areas or what zip codes are eligible for USDA loans. So yeah, I didn't realize I didn't actually pin my comment saying to join me on YouTube. So if y'all got any other questions, let me know. If not, I think I'll log out of here. So I'll do my 10-second countdown to see if y'all have any questions. Any questions? All right. So go on. If you got a question on YouTube or there, just type like a letter X or something, so I know that you're typing a question. So and I'll restart my program. Before you leave, feel free to like the video, share with a friend. If you got value out of the video, hopefully you did. If you didn't get value out of the video, let me know too, and I can know what I can do to improve my myself. Oh, you're welcome. Is infinite banking a scam? I don't know. I know there's no like see, I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know enough about infinite banking to talk about it. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, I don't know. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so 10-second countdown to see if y'all got any more questions. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. What a race are you? What race am I? What? Okay, I gotta ask, what race am I? I'll just say I'd qualify for the minority program if there was some sort of like minority, actual minority requirement for the program. What race am I? What kind of question is that? That's a wild question, but that made me laugh. So big shout to you. Hopefully, yeah, big shout to you. Do you know the interest rate? So from what I've been told, the interest rates are just in line with whatever normal interest rates are. And so so I can, like I said, so with a lot of these programs that are like part of the Community Reinvestment Act that these big banks have, there are not like, there's no like interest rate hike. And so like, once again, I'll keep comparing it to Chase's program because I actually have experience using their program, being a lender. And so for like the program that Chase had, the rates were actually a little bit less than whatever Chase's market rate were. So these guidelines are in line with conventional guidelines, right? And so like, let's say back in the day, like let's say like your rate was like a 4% naturally at Chase. Like someone that's using this program may get like a 3.875 because they're using the program. And so my understanding is that the rates that Bank of America offers for this program are pretty much the same as the market rate, or maybe a little bit less. All right, so how can I be a first-time home buyer again? I guess not own a property for 3 years. That's like the definition of a first time home buyer. All right. Okay. So cool. Going to do my countdown on YouTube one more time. Before you leave, feel free to like the video because that boosts my morale a bunch. I'm not even gonna lie. It can boost my morale when I get likes in the video. Oh, you're welcome, Crystal. Thank you. And so go to log out again in 10 seconds. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Once again, if you got a question, just drop a letter and I know you're about to type something. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining me. There's like a short delay between Zoom and YouTube, so I'm going to be sitting here for like 5 seconds after the countdown actually ends to make sure that I didn't miss anything. All right, so I guess while I'm waiting for them, if you guys got any questions on IG, hopefully I answered all the questions that popped up. All right, okay, cool. So that is it. I am out. Appreciate you guys. Do these every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So see y'all again next week. Oh man, okay. So I got one question at the buzzer. Just about to log out. Do you know how long they would keep the program alive? In theory, they'll keep the program alive forever. I mean, it's a trial program right now, but I mean, so once again, these programs are part of Bank of America's Community Reinvestment Act. Like when the banks are giving, or like giving out money, it's not like free money, right? And so they're literally mandated by Congress to set aside a certain amount of money for these programs to help minority communities that were previously underserved due to the red line they were doing in discriminatory lending practices. So there'll always be some sort of program. Well, this one specifically keep going forever. I do not know that. I did not know that fact, or I did not know that. But I assume some program will be around for the vast majority of time. So. All right, so I guess I'll start my countdown again. I'll start from 5 this time. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so I'll sit here for 5 seconds again because there's a little time delay. It's the home buying course is free. Like there's no it should be free. To my knowledge, it's free in my experience because it's provided by HUD. So the program should be free. The 8-hour course. That's what you're referring to. All right, so we start this countdown again. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, that's it for real. Once again, I gotta sit around 5 seconds because there was a time delay. So I will see what you guys say. Oh, you're most definitely welcome. Yo, you're welcome as well. Thanks for joining. All right. Okay, cool. So that is actually the end. Buy land, rumor that has it, they're not making any more of it. All right, thanks, y'all.